2 weeks after the birth of my second child, I was still experiencing a large amount of bleeding, fist-sized blood clots. My then-husband, now ex, took me to the nearest hospital in Olympia, Washington, after he arrived home from school to find me going into shock. My skin was gray and clammy, the bleeding would not stop, I was freezing cold. Shortly after we got to the emergency room, I could see only fuzzy images of the staff and my husband. I could hear them talking, but their speech became muffled, like the speech of the adults in Charlie Brown cartoons. I could only vaguely feel my husband's hand holding mine. Then a figure sort of ceased to be fuzzy. He did not just appear, he was there all along, but he just became clear while everyone else remained fuzzy. He took my hand, and I could feel each of his fingers. His voice was clear and normal, while the others remained muffled. He wore white, but I don't know if it was a suit, a robe, or something else. He said, "Don't be afraid." Actually, I wasn't afraid to begin with, and I felt very calm at the sight of him. He said some things that I have never repeated, and never will, and then said that we would be together someday. I was transferred to another hospital in Lacey, Washington, and had a dilation and curettage, DNC, to remove part of the placenta that had not been expelled when my daughter was born. For the next 11 years, I assumed that, if the experience was even real, the man was an angel or someone that I would see someday in the afterlife. I divorced my husband and moved several times with my children. We ended up where we are now last summer, 2001. I came to the area several times, a few days at a time, and we moved here a few days before we were each to start school. I saw the man from this experience about 2 days after we settled in here. He does not seem to recognize me, but it is definitely him. He looks and sounds the same, he hasn't aged, though I think I would know him even if he had. Some of the things he said to me in 1990 have been validated, beginning immediately after I saw him. It is extremely frustrating to me that he does not recognize me, or is not letting on, if he does, because I know he is supposed to. I was having a very bad time in my life. At the time, I had told God that if he was real, that he should prove it to me. The next week, my appendix burst and I died. I was, all of a sudden, in a dark room-like place. I started calling for Jesus to help me. I knew I was dead and thought I was going to hell. Now remember, I had challenged God to prove to me he was there. Anyway, I did not see his face, but he told me it was not my time yet and I had to go back. I really wanted to stay. But again, was told I had to go back. I had a baby at the time and he needed me, plus my time was not up yet. I persisted to stay and I remember just being back in my body. You see, God answered me and showed me he was listening and was there for me. I have never asked him to prove it again. He loves us so much, believe me, I felt it. I hope this survey is real and you are truly interested in my experience. I want people to know the truth, there is a heaven and hell.